Hey everybody, how's it going? Today in this video, I'm going to give you my personal ranking on the Halloween franchise. All 13 movies. Now, this ranking that I'm going to give you today is how I feel currently, how I feel right now as we speak. As I said, there are 13 movies in this franchise. And there's some good, there's the bad, and there's the ugly. And when I say ugly, I mean ugly. But the reason why I did a new current ranking of how I feel is because a lot of times in the middle of the Halloween franchise, that middle pack of movies, they can flip flop, they can change. One day I can feel one way, ask me tomorrow, and I could feel a completely different way. But usually obviously the top part and the bottom, the beginning and the end of the franchise, that stack of movies in the front, stack of movies at the bottom. That's how I always feel, and pretty much will feel till the day I die. So I figured it'd be fun to give this a shot, and I do plan on doing this with some of my other favorite horror movie franchises, giving you my personal ranking. This is just my opinion. If my opinion doesn't match up with yours, that's okay. That's what makes us horror fans all unique. We all have what you like might not be what I like. It shouldn't matter. I've said a couple of times now that I just wish we could all just start to get along with each other, no matter what our opinions are on certain movies. I'm past that stage of life where I'm done arguing with people who don't like this but like that. It's like, who cares? Let's all just be friends and come together as a horror community. That's the way it should be. So let's dive into this. So, at number 13, dead last, is Halloween Resurrection. And I believe this is a very popular last place pick for a lot of us Halloween fans. This was the first Halloween movie I ever saw in the theater. My older brother took me to see this in the movie theater when I was 10 years old, and I was disgusted as a 10-year-old child. I didn't just think it was cool because I was a little kid and I got to see Michael tear shit up. Seeing that man right here do what he did to Michael, it just made me sick to my stomach. I didn't really care too much that Laurie Strode died 10 minutes into the film, and it wasn't Michael who got his head chopped off. It was the paramedic. How they retconned the end of H2O and turned it into this fiasco. Everything about this movie was pathetic. It felt like a Sims game. It felt like Michael Myers was just walking around picking people off in that house. The Myers house was the only redeemable quality for me in this film was the way that the Myers house looked. Everything else, pure and utter garbage. I will despise this movie till the day I die. And still to this day, I have yet to subject my wife to Halloween Resurrection. Next, we have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I remember going to see this movie in the theater as well, and I mean, the first scene of this movie, that hospital scene, I started feeling like they were going to recreate the original Halloween 2. That was pretty crazy in the beginning, and I thought, all right, I can get down with this, but they turned Loomis into this prima donna, just hungry for money and this and that, and Hobo Michael and the White Horse, and just absolutely pathetic. I mean, Brad Dourif was pretty good in Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, and Danielle Harris was awesome as Annie. I liked it. Scout's performance, I'll get to it in Rob Zombie's Halloween as well. I really thought it was okay, but just this story was ridiculous. Everything about this movie was just so pathetic. I couldn't stand it, whether you're watching the unrated cut, the director's cut, or the theatrical cut. I just had absolutely no enjoyment of this film. I debated walking out on it. I was 17 at the time when this came out, and I can't stand it. I probably have not watched this movie in at least 10, 15 years. No thanks. Not a fan. I've probably only seen it a handful of times in my life. And then next we have Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like I said, this is just currently how I feel right now. I mean, immediately, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you. Yeah, I'm all set, Rob. Let's stick to your music. The white trailer trash aspect of this was just absolutely pathetic. I mean, Michael being, living in this white trash family, being picked on in school, his mother being a stripper, Judith being a hoe. All of it. I just couldn't get behind it. They dove way, way too deep into his, upbringing as a kid and what made him snap and turned him into Michael Myers. I didn't dig it that much. I mean, I was there in the theater day one. I had high hopes for this as a teenager. I was pumped. I was ready to go. I wanted this, but it did not deliver for me. I can tolerate this film, but I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's a very good Halloween movie. If you're looking for a crazy, psychotic slasher, Tyler Mane was a good Michael Myers for that. And Malcolm McDowell he made Dr. Loomis his own. He did not try to copy Donald Pleasence. I will give the film that. And like I said, I mean, Scout gave a good performance. I liked it. Daniel Harris and Brad Dourif, it was nice. I liked that, but the way that second half of that movie just tried to carbon copy the original, it was just a little too much for me. And I'm honestly am not the biggest fan, but I can tolerate it. Then we have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, yes, as a young little boy, I could sit there and watch this movie over and over and over and over again and not care too much. I didn't care that Rachel was axed 15, 20 minutes into the movie. I didn't get that as a kid. It didn't bother me too much. But this, I'd say, this movie, more than any other horror movie, as I got older and really figured it out, I just realized how pathetic it was and how rushed it was. I mean, they went into filming this movie without a complete script. I mean, Jamie as a mute, it just was ridiculous. Half the movie, her just not being able to talk. I mean, Tina, are you kidding me? Tina replacing Rachel? No, absolutely not. The clown cops, Michael's mask was even worse in this movie than it was in 4, in my opinion. I didn't like how his neck was sticking out there. I mean, some good kills. Loomis was batshit crazy. He had a little too much bourbon on him. Daniel Harris was complaining that he was a little drunk on set. But I mean, what do you expect at this point? He was tired, he was getting older, and it was a ridiculous script, and this movie should have never been made. They could have waited a couple of years and really flushed out the story after the epic ending of Halloween 4. I really wish they did, because this movie is pathetic. But I still do watch this movie because, in my opinion, it's fun to make fun of it. It's fun to goof around and just make fun of how silly it is. So that's why I have it ranked pretty low on my list. Then we have Halloween H2O. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Halloween H2O because this is where I've been talking about Dave McRae a lot, because Dave McRae is my all-time favorite, and especially when it comes to Halloween. He likes to remind everybody that Halloween H2O is like Michael Myers walked onto the set of Dawson's Creek. And I mean, this movie copied way too much of Scream. It tried... I don't feel Halloween can have any sort of Scream kind of elements in it. It's its own thing, and it tried way too hard to blend in with movies like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and so on and so forth, to try to being that hip teeny bopper kind of vibe that Scream launched in that late 90s run. And Jamie Lee Curtis came back and gave a hell of a performance. In this movie, it's my favorite portrayal of Laurie Strode. Definitely, by far, my favorite, just from her. But everything else, Josh Hartnett was pretty cool. I didn't mind John Tate, that was all right. But LL Cool J, you see him there, Michelle Williams, and Kevin Williamson was involved with this. But let's keep him on Scream, not Halloween. I can watch this movie to make fun of it, but Michael Myers is, he looks like he's just a lost puppy at a convention. He looks like somebody's cosplaying, and that's not the actor's fault. But I mean, the multiple different masks, the CGI mask and the alien mask, everything, it was just absolutely ridiculous, and I just can't wrap my head around it. I mean, yeah, Laurie Strode swinging that axe, chopping Michael's head off. You think that's the end. But then, Halloween Resurrection kind of ruined that, Had an epic ending to this film, but Resurrection destroyed it. Then next, we have Halloween Ends. Now, the David Gordon Green trilogy was probably the most anticipated time of my life when it comes to movies. I mean, I remember how I felt with when I was in preparation for The Force Awakens in 2015. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I was ready for that, and I loved Power Rangers growing up. Power Rangers 2017, another highly anticipated movie of my life. But, when Halloween 2018 was announced, and then that performed well, and then they announced Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, I was on every single day. Every single day, I was digging for more information and feedback for these movies. And after the way Halloween Kills ended, I'm thinking to myself, what are they going to do when they jump 4 years into the future and Laurie Strode is trying to move on with her life and writing her memoir? And I'm just going to get to the point where I did not mind the Corey Cunningham story. I thought this was a good film, but not a very good Halloween film. I enjoy this for what it is, but you should not see Michael Myers in such a vulnerable state, and seeing Corey Cunningham overpower him, take his mask, and kick the crap out of him in that sewer. It made me sick to my stomach sitting there. I just held my wife's hand and probably squeezed it in anger because I didn't like that. I really think that Halloween Ends would have been a better anthology flick with Corey Cunningham being that anchor. That would have been much better. And that the climax of this, that end fight between Laurie and Michael just was so anticlimactic. I did not enjoy it, and it sucked for me. It didn't last long enough, and then throwing him in that compactor at the end and coming out like ground meat, just no thanks. But I can enjoy this as a movie. Just wasn't my favorite Halloween movie. Then we have Halloween Kills. I mean, this was Michael at his absolute apex of crazy kills and the most brutal Michael I had ever seen. But I mean, the dialogue in this movie, evil dies tonight. No, thank you. I mean, you bring back Tommy and Lindsay. You bring back Brackett. You bring back Marion Chambers. For what? For what? It was pathetic. The waste of these legacy characters instead of trying to develop the new characters. Yes, I think Karen Strode was a lot more likable in Halloween Kills than in 2018, but I wanted to see Allison grow more, and we didn't. We just saw, Marion Chambers for no reason. Sheriff Brackett coming back, as that security guard, and we didn't see a moment between him and Laurie Strode, like remnants over Annie's death. That's what I wanted to see, or a moment with Tommy, Lindsay, and Laurie together. I wanted to see that, and I didn't get that, and that bummed me out big time. But if you want to see Michael tear shit up, this is the movie for you. Then we have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. I don't care if it's the theatrical cut, the producer's cut, doesn't matter to me. I don't love and or hate this film. I'm okay with it. The atmosphere, the mood and atmosphere in this Halloween movie is what sells it for me. And George P. Wilbur, did a decent job as Michael again. He lost the shoulder pads, but he looked like he spent the last 7 years in the McDonald's drive-thru. He put on a few too many pounds. And Donald Pleasence, this was his last Halloween film. So, and Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle was a little weird, The Cult of Thorn and Dr. Wynn being the Men in Black, waiting to find out who the Men in Black was. I didn't talk about that in Halloween 5 because I'm talking about it here. When the Cult of Thorn, and then you find out that man who got off that bus and them steel-toe cowboy boots and that black trench coat was Dr. Wynn from the original Halloween. I can't buy it. And, I'm happy that the mood and atmosphere is good in this, but it doesn't save it from all its flaws. And we didn't have Danielle Harris in this movie. They cheaped her out and they didn't bring her back. And J.C. Brandy took that kill in the beginning of the movie instead of Danielle Harris. And maybe it was for the best, but maybe, just maybe, it could have been a better movie if it was centered around Jamie Lloyd, a little older, and she didn't get knocked up by Michael. Was that her baby? Was she knocked up by Michael, or was she artificially inseminated? Who knows? But like I said before, the theatrical and or the producer's cut, I don't really like either or more than the other. It's pick or choose, but I can enjoy this movie for what it is. I can just tolerate it. Not the biggest fan, but from this moment on, these last few movies are the ones that I really do enjoy and love with all my heart. So we're going to kick that off here with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. They tried the anthology route. Didn't work out too well for them. This movie was poorly received because, spoiler alert, there is no Michael Myers in this movie. But Colonel Cochran, what a diabolical villain, trying to pretty much kill all the kids in the world. The Silver Shamrock masks. Tom Atkins. This was fun. As a little kid, I might not have enjoyed it so much because I didn't understand it enough. But as an adult, I watched this movie on its own, and I love it. And it's a staple, a once-a-year kind of thing where I pop this bad boy in and I watch it and I enjoy it for what it is, whether it's Michael Myers or not. It would have been cool to see what the anthology route could have been like. And I hope they maybe try to do something with this Season of the Witch, whether it's a movie, a television show, or something in the future, because this movie has gained a cult following. Then we have Halloween 2018. I've talked about how this was a very, very, very anticipated film. I was every day digging for information from different people, trying to get ready for this flick. And I went and saw this. I was at the midnight premiere for this. I went and saw it a couple of more times in the theater just to get a good digestion of it. I wasn't going to judge it after my first watch. I probably have seen this movie, I don't know, 15 times or so since it was released, and I firmly place it in 4th place. James Jude Courtney was a fantastic Michael Myers in all 3 of those films, all 3 of David Gordon Green's films. But he really nailed it here. It was believable. Jamie Lee Curtis kind of pulled the whole Sarah Connor thing with Laurie turning into that crazy psychotic woman, but I just dealt with it. Didn't care too much. If Halloween 2 was canon, if this was a sequel to Halloween 2, I would have been a lot more on board with the whole Sarah Connor thing. I think I could have believed it a little bit more, but it is what it is. That's the decision they made. I can still enjoy this movie, and I'm all right with it. I think it could have been a hell of a lot better, but this was definitely the first Halloween movie going experience in the theater for me that I did not walk out of pissed off. Let's just put it that way. Then we have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I can't say enough about this film. I fucking love it with all my heart. I mean, I love Rachel and Jamie. I mean, Rachel, I love her more than Laurie Strode. Rachel Carruthers. I mean, Ellie Cornell is, in my opinion, a better final girl than Laurie Strode, because she wasn't taking any of Michael's shit. She wasn't running away. She was protecting Jamie. And the growth of their relationship throughout this movie was fantastic. Seeing how in the beginning she's just like, oh, I just want to be with Brady, but I just got to deal with my foster sister. And then seeing their relationship grow throughout this film was epic, was awesome. Very, very detailed oriented with that, and I really enjoyed that. And Donald Pleasance is fantastic as Loomis in here. You know, look, you can see him right here, you know. He's at the gas station there, you know, trying to shoot up Michael, who's driving away in that gas truck, you know. I'm loving it, but, you know, I could watch this movie every day. It's epic. I mean, George P. Wilbur, you know, lose the shoulder pads, get a better mask. Imagine if they ever made like a deep cut of Halloween 4 with the original Shatner mask. I mean, I cannot imagine how incredible that would be. So I love Halloween 4 with all my heart, just for that. Then we have Halloween 2. I look at the original Halloween and Halloween 2 is like kind of like a two-parter, because this leads off right after the original Halloween. You know, it starts right where it left off. I mean, the whole snow angel imprint of Michael on the grass was kind of a little bit funny there, but the hospital setting, and it was just epic. There was a lot of great kills. The syringe in the side of the head, the hot tub kill, I love that. I mean, Ben Tramer just taking it like a champ, getting destroyed by that cop car, getting crushed against that van. Had a few too many that night. It was great. And like I said, Donald Pleasance again just was epic. I love it. You know, Jamie Lee might have been wearing a wig in this movie. You know, she cut her hair at the time, but she came back and did this. And Halloween 2 is awesome. I love it. And then in first place, John Carpenter's Halloween. As I've said before, in my opinion, the greatest horror movie ever made and my favorite film of all time. I love every single thing about this film. There's not one negative thing I can say about it from all aspects. It introduced the world to Michael Myers. Laurie Strode is, yes, she is a Mount Rushmore final girl. I get it. She's just not one of my favorites, but she is a pillar. And just, you know, Annie and Linda, and then, you know, talking about, oh, want to go with Ben Tramer to the dance, and, you know, Annie's trying to hook up Laurie with Ben Tramer. It was cute. Tommy and Lindsay, you know, this movie comes full circle. It's Laurie's arc from not believing in the boogeyman till at the end, it was the boogeyman. As a matter of fact, it was. She knew Tommy was right. I mean, the lines in this film, I can quote this pretty much word for word. I mean, everything about this movie, I love. And I just want to thank you guys very, very much. And I can't wait to rank more of these franchises. Until next time, we'll see you soon.